Уважаемые участники и гости юбилейного 30-го Международного форума по информационно-коммуникационным технологиям ТИБО 2024, мы рады приветствовать вас в этом зале на главном мероприятии нашей деловой программы, пленарной панельной дискуссии «Цифровое развитие. Эра искусственного интеллекта». Спасибо за аплодисменты. Вы все во внимании, я уже понял. Тема искусственного интеллекта в этом году красной нитью проходит через все тематические заседания форума ТИБО, и в этом году в программе без малого 40 мероприятий. Стремительное развитие данной технологии так или иначе затрагивает буквально все абсолютно сферы жизнедеятельности нашей, внося свои коррективы в сложившийся уклад вещей. Именно поэтому сегодня наша дискуссия будет посвящена научным, прикладным, юридическим и социальным аспектам использования технологий искусственного интеллекта в различных отраслях. И позвольте представить вам приглашенных экспертов. Кирилл Дмитриевич Солнцев, исполнительный директор Центра индустриальных внедрений Сбербанк, Россия. Сергей Владимирович Кругликов, генеральный директор ОИП Национальной академии наук Беларуси. Анна Еландер, эксперт Главного цифрового офиса программы развития Организации Объединенных Наций. Оскар Синчев, руководитель Управления международного сотрудничества Национальной информационной технологии Казахстан. Директор Еджан, профессор, исполнительный директор Объединенного исследовательского центра вычислительной математики и кибернетики МГУ, Пекинский технологический институт, Китайская Народная Республика. Эдуард Борисович Шантаев, генеральный директор ФГАУ Федеральный центр прикладного развития искусственного интеллекта Россия. Сергей Вадимович Носов, вице-президент, директор по искусственному интеллекту и управлению данными Ростелеком Россия. Евгений Михайлович Черешнев, вице-президент по стратегии и инновациям МТС. Алексей Павлович Сидорюк, директор по направлению цифровая трансформация отраслей, ОНО «Цифровая экономика», самодератор сегодняшнего вечера, сегодняшней дискуссии. И Кирилл Валентинович Рудый, профессор Белорусского государственного экономического университета, доктор экономических наук, член Совета БНПА, также самодератор сегодняшней дискуссии. Также руководитель проекта школы анализа данных Яндекс.Образования компании Яндекс Россия Алексей Толстиков. Он находится в зале, да. Андрей Игоревич Качетов, руководитель по развитию искусственного интеллекта IT корпорации Астон. Но все-таки прежде чем приступить к дискуссии, хотелось бы предоставить слово председателю Организационного комитета форума ТИБО 2024, министру связи и информатизации Республики Беларусь Константину Константиновичу Шульгану.
Очередной раз спасибо. Добрый день, уважаемые друзья. Очень рад приветствовать с этой трибуны вас в этом зале, в котором совсем недавно произошло открытие нашего юбилейного форума ТИБО. И, безусловно, уже не один форум начат, и я не помню уже даже где, но говорил, насколько важна вторая сторона форума, это как раз то обсуждение, на которое мы здесь вместе с вами собрались, потому что действительно тематики, которые выносились на обсуждение,
that are usually discussed at such meetings are there for a reason. They are part of our idea management and artificial intelligence, what to do about that. This is one of the chief pivotal points that we would like to direct our attention and achieve some kind of tangible result. I am not going to wax smart here, because seeing how many great experts we have here, I would like to give them the floor, because indeed this is a very serious and interesting subject matter to discuss. On the other hand, I would like to say that as far as the government is concerned, a lot of us are concerned about this, because the digital development that we focus on today, in fact, is built for finding more efficient solutions. The management system that was approved by the presidential decrees were originally put in place to make sure that in different sectors through the CEOs and their deputies through digitization departments and the program developers and the digital development department under the Ministry of Communication to put together different experts so that collectively I'm waxing smart now. So through the collective thinking, we give birth to new ideas so that the technologies are broadly implemented everywhere, by thus creating an enabling environment and productive economy that all of us depend on. The fact that we're discussing this matter today reconfirms once again the importance of this, because for implementation of different projects which are in the pipeline today, it's very important from the beginning of the analysis of working with the big data and the technologies and the algorithms that we put together to make it happen. It's all very important. Yesterday at the discussion of RCC, we were discussing the artificial intelligence, and we came to a conclusion that we still don't have a comprehensive definition for what AI should be. So the actual subject of the research is largely unknown. There is still no legal regulation of artificial intelligence. Maybe experts have a different idea, but we failed to find yesterday, although all the experts, all the specialists from different countries came to a single conclusion, that we need to focus on this field from different aspects, be it legal, technological, ethical, and many other dimensions which are part of this idea. I promise that I'm not going to monopolize this discussion. I'll give the floor to other experts. But before I leave this stage, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to say that I hope, and I'm even confident, that the platform of TIBO conference manifests itself from the best side by bringing everybody together to find good solutions to this. So I wish good productive discussion, interesting questions, good communication, and new friends, and collectively I'm sure we can find solutions not only for this problem, and with the use of artificial and human intellect and intelligence we can find solution to all the digital endeavors and projects which are so much needed and will be implemented not only in our country but globally. I wish you good impressions, all the best. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Shulgan. And there are other keynote speakers, although they are also experts. They wear two hats here. I would like to invite to this microphone representative of the Ministry of Digital Technologies, Omar Mansour. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, my boss couldn't attend, but on his behalf, I would like to welcome the participants of this discussion. I would like to introduce Uzbekistan and briefly speak about some of the achievements that we have. The world has entered a new era where the artificial intelligence is becoming a new driver of not only economic development, technological development, but participates in the overall governance system. Some countries actively invest not only into the development of AI applications, but they try to occupy leadership positions. But I must note here that the basis for the development of AI is still e-government, digital government, and digital economy. Special attention of Uzbekistan is paid to the development of IT industry and human capital. In the past few years, we have adopted a number of policy documents, such as 2030 development strategy for Uzbekistan, where we had separate chapters on AI. We are training personnel on AI. We have adopted a number of programs for personnel development. Recently, President adopted a new decree on construction of 15 IT villages in our republic, where annually we're going to train up to 10,000 young employees for AI industry. In the field of AI, Uzbekistan ever since 2021 has been actively working And partly it is proven by the decree of the President of Uzbekistan to create enabling environment for the expedited development and implementation of AI technologies. Under that decree, some of the universities of Uzbekistan now have separate departments training students on AI, own institutions and research centers and competence centers to do scientific research, which has led in turn to the development of national projects of AI, which are actively put to good use. Also, My ID identification system, which uses more than 80% of local data banks, and the system of language assistance in Uzbek language, and implementation of many other projects related to the state governance. Along with that, just like I mentioned previously, without the development of proper infrastructure, it is impossible to spread out AI technologies. In May, there was an announcement of the construction of a big data center for the international company Datavol, and within that company, big data are going to be put in good use to train neural networks. I don't want to take too much of your time. I would like to hear some interventions from the experts, what they think about how to properly run and regulate artificial intelligence, what is the ethics and the intellectual property rights that we are already discussing, who should own them, what was generated by neural networks. I would like to wish everybody success, interesting presentations, and I'm confident that today's event will contribute to our future cooperation and help us achieve new heights and develop innovations that will serve our societies. Thank you. And another address will be made by the honorary guest, head of the Communication Administration, Vice Minister of Innovations and Aerospace Industry from Kazakhstan, Ashat Urazbek. Good afternoon, dear friends. I wasn't preparing this speech. I was hoping for AI helping me with that. That's why I'm going to do it on the flight. I'm very happy to be today in Minsk, in Belarus. It's a great city, great people. In fact, this is what attracts here both hearts and minds of people. I would like to say that previously Alexander Konstantin Shulgan said that a lot of attention is paid to AI development. The same is happening in Kazakhstan. The president of Kazakhstan, Mr. Tokayev, set a number of objectives to move towards this direction. We're developing a concept for the AI development in the country, and I think that very soon we can expect in Kazakhstan serious progress in that department. I'm not going to reveal some details. You will come as our guests and see everything with your own eyes. On the other hand, it is another very important aspect. Yesterday, together with Oscar, we were sitting together discussing it. We shouldn't forget about human dimension, because the Article 1 of our Constitution of Kazakhstan says that greatest value for our country is human being, his liberties and rights, and whatever we do in artificial intelligence must serve as an instrument and serve the interests of our citizens, our people. And it's very important to understand when an event will happen, when neural networks created by a person can turn into a new life form. I believe that today our experts will be able to cast new light on all these angles of the new technology, and it gives me special pleasure to give you the floor, and I thank you in advance for your expertise, thoughts and ideas. Thank you. Askat Lubaevich made a great joke, saying that he didn't prepare his speech. It turned out to be quite a good one. But artificial intelligence is really artificial. Anyway, let's give the floor to our experts. I invite Kirill Sontsev, who will speak on artificial intelligence as a driver of economic development. Do you have a clicker here to help me with to move the slides? Colleagues, good afternoon. Now we're going to put my presentation on the screen. I hope we can manage that. Okay, good. It's a good start. Thank you very much. My name is Kirill Sontsev. I welcome all the participants of the TIBO conference. It's a great honor and responsibility for me to speak on behalf of Russia, on behalf of Sber, on AI Alliance of our organization that we established for the development of AI in our country. I will try to be brief, and I will just use a few words to tell you about myself and how we develop AI in the world, and about the AI development in Russia at the level of the government and businesses. I represent AI Industrial Implementation Center in Sberbank, Russia. We do AI transformation of our bank, and we develop AI in our country as a general, as part of our contract with the government. We have a competence center under the AI Alliance. A few words about AI. What is happening with AI in the world? In fact, already we can say that AI helps different sectors of economy to achieve growth in productivity, or cutting down costs from 5 to 50%, and sometimes can bring additional revenues in geometrical dimension. And we have looked at different analyses for different countries. Generally speaking, AI can generally contribute up to 4% of GDP in a country. Looking at business development in Sberbank, we see a 7-fold payback rate for our investments. And last year, because of the introduction of AI solutions, the effect was 350 billion rubles. So these are really unbelievable numbers, because AI helps to enhance personalization, cuts down costs, it increases exactness, and expedites processes. And as previous speakers said, although indeed we still haven't agreed on one single definition of what AI is for us, we use the AI development strategy until 2030 in Russia. So basically it's a complex of algorithms that can solve problems at the level or even better than a human being without human involvement. The main trend of AI in the world, perhaps you have heard about this, is big language models like ChatGPT. This is a big language model. It's a step towards very strong artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This is, in fact, AI that can solve not only one small problem, but the whole complex of different problems.
And this is a big data-based model which may resolve a number of tasks, discuss different topics with you, and etc. And now there is a boom of these big data-based models. They forecast, they contribute a lot to the economies of the countries, in particular, where there is a boom of these models: the US, China, Russia. The trends related or associated with this model are accounting capacities, so they're increasing rapidly, and that is the national context of the countries. So the countries adapt these language models, made them adaptive national models, and learn them on this back data in line with the context of their countries, and the industrial or sectoral domains, that is AR learning in line with the trends in the sectors. Another trend is not generative model, but interactive AI, the artificial intelligence that will interact with you. And now this is a box of knowledge which you extract, but then AI, it will be a commander of your aids or helpers, reagents, who can extract from other softwares, databases, and solve the task. So they actually aim at the resolution of some specific tasks, some specific life needs. In Russia, the most active development of AI started 5 years ago after the launch of the National Strategy for AI Development, and it started at multiple levels. There was a strategy under the president adopted, and the federal project was launched, the national program and the allocations for the AI development in the public sector, staffing and etc. Business was engaged as well, and there was an alliance of AI, including Sber, MTS, and others. And there are a number of initiatives that are initiated by the business that either the state cannot implement or there is a deficit of resources. At the level of the state, progress has been achieved, and if we have a look at the findings, at the outcomes of the national project, a number of some hundreds of projects were developed by the state research centers, were supported some universities that are partners in partnership with other entities. They are resolving some tasks, and they are doing the development of AI that is applied or research studies required by the business. This includes the High School of Economy and others. They make developments that actually aim at business. They're based on business results and then economy. There will be another wave of these projects, but altogether there will be 6 of them. In addition to investments, academia and science, as part of all the projects, we've developed a number of new curricula for universities, some skills in school children, basic skills, additional training provided to a wider population, and many others. At the same time, we are at the point when scale-up is most crucial. We have taken a mile of distance, and the key drivers or triggers of AI development have been developed, including data, but now it's time to introduce. And according to the analytics, only 18% of all the businesses shifted to the stage of scale-up. So they are in the forefront of AI. But we have the goal, the objective of the updated national strategy, that is 11 trillion rubles generated by AI by 2030. And we see that there are a number of challenges, key challenges, based on the surveys of our partners. The first group is that some businesses, top managers, do not know at all what AI is. They don't believe it. And there is another group that do not have resources or capacities to do it. Therefore, we see a number of activities or interventions to be implemented by the state. There is the diagnosis. We need to do inventory and to take stock of what is going on. There should be the support provided to the development of this stuff, and there are some grants that need to be allocated, and this also includes education and promotion. And at the same time, in terms of the national development of AI, where we are an expert in, we understand that all the hard incentives aim other companies. If there is now the second integral element, which actually embraces soft incentives, I do not say that the left part is bad, no, but they are better when they work together. And this is where we focus our attention in Sberbank and our key alliance of artificial intelligence. In addition to 11 members that we have, and each of them are capturing different sectors, regulation, automatization, and we are expanding our sectoral clubs for different sectors, including industry, construction, healthcare, agriculture, and we have a community of artificial intelligence at the international level. A bit later I will come back to it, that is self-regulation of the sector, and we have our own scientific councils. As part of the partnership, we keep different tracks. We were backed by some triggers, what to do with the data, what we need to do to make sure that our jurisdiction is better, and which improvements are needed. But we are also transiting to some new stories, as we understand that we should take into account context-specific elements of the sector. Dear colleagues, I'd like to interrupt you as a moderator. Look, it's quite difficult to moderate AI, it's natural, but let's agree that each speaker has only 10 minutes. Therefore, you still have another 1-2 minutes, and that is. Okay, thank you. A few words about our key projects. So, different universities, they are the platform which actually a signal for universities which staff or which professionals are demanded. And this is a good opportunity for us to cooperate with the Belarusian universities to enhance staff training. We have a memorandum signed by different members that is the self-regulation of AI. And I believe colleagues today will present this as well. Then we find some sectoral, some keynote challenges. One of them is how to measure what is good or bad and how different models interact with each other. So we actually do benchmarking of AI model and benchmarking of LLM, that is the portal where we assess different solutions, and we assess whether AI is good at resolving this or not. In general, this is all. Thank you very much for your attention and for being patient with me because I was out beyond the agenda. Dear colleagues, before we move on to another speaker, a few words about the logic of this panel, for you to have some expectations and understanding how it was structured. We all understand that there are a number of levels of functioning, of understanding and working of AI, and therefore the idea was to present different sides. The first side is public regulation, and therefore, at the beginning, we had some welcomes by high-level officials, and we actually will not dwell on this quite long, as there are some lengthy presentations, and there will be a stance of public sector on this regulation matter. We will also today discuss, as part of our discussion, the stance of businesses, the solutions which are proposed, how the business perceives this. You see there are different flags, but we did it intentionally to give the floor to Sberbank because we pay tribute to their capacities in our region, because the largest progress was achieved by the Russian Federation. And I think we have a lot to learn from them, because we are still lagging behind. But nonetheless, the second speaker today And I'd like to introduce Sergei Kruglikov, Director General of the United Institute of Informatics Problems of the National Academy of Sciences in Belarus. So the title of his presentation is Artificial Intelligence Technologies on the Model of Law for the CIS member states. So it is self-speaking, and this is not a national technology, this is international technology. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, my report, my presentation is about the artificial intelligence technologies, the concept law for CIS region. We all understand, dear colleagues, that any presentation starts with the words that these technologies today cover almost all the sectors. And the analysis shows how and which countries AI is developing the most quickly. We see the top 10, including China and USA, that are in top 2. Russia is also in this top, as the colleague rightly said, and in 2023, under the General Secretary of the UN, there was an intermediary report prepared on the AI management for humanity, and the main provisions of this report include recommendations for the improvement of AI management. And the decree of the President of the Russian Federation in October 2019 adopted the national strategy for AI development in Russia until 2030. And to develop the national strategy, the federal project called Artificial Intelligence was adopted, which is to be implemented by the end of this year. And it includes quite decent funding of this project in the amount of about 30 billion Russian rubles and co-financing that will be allocated through different sources. As part of the Commonwealth of Independent States, starting from 2021, there are studies and research to develop the common approach to AI development and adoption. And this is covered by the Intergovernmental Program of Cooperation of CIS member states until 2035. And all the member states of this region, the AI development matters are included into different legal acts. But the analysis suggests that at present, and the Minister of Communications and Informatization suggested this, there is no systematization done. And in this regard, there is a need to apply and develop common approaches to the definition of the concept artificial intelligence. And because of this, we initiated the development of the project of the model law on artificial intelligence. And the Secretariat of the Council of Interparliamentary Council of CIS member states, including public institutions associated with the information matters, signed an agreement on the development of this project, on the implementation of this project. And the main objective is to contribute and support the development of common approaches to regulation of relations associated with the use and application of AI oriented on humans, firstly. And at the first stage, an analysis of legislation and secondary legislation was done, including international law, and the relevant draft concept was developed. The report and the draft concept developed after the first stage of work was presented at the 26th meeting of the Interparliamentary Assembly of the CIS member states and regional commonwealths on communication last year in Minsk. It was quite a unique occasion. Why? Because this expert council, it is generally held in St. Petersburg and in Moscow. But here, as part of the second forum, which was announced and implemented by the head of state, artificial intelligence of Belarus, the 26th meeting was held. And at the second phase, this draft concept, this draft document has been revised in line with the feedback received, and the first version of the document was developed. And over the research and studies done, the basic definitions and concepts were proposed, the regime for the functioning of the system was proposed, and the international practices were studied. In addition to that, we detected and identified a number of challenges to be addressed at the legislative level in CIS countries. We have revised and finalized the document in line with the comments and feedback received from the Commission. So the first version of the project was presented during the work of the permanent committee of the CIS member states in St. Petersburg and adopted in the headquarters of Sberbank of the Russian Federation. The permanent committee and expert council ruled to approve the draft law in line with the comments received. In the Republic of Belarus, its national strategy of sustainable socio-economic development until 2030, the introduction of AI interventions is viewed as the basis for the development of new economic sectors and one of the priority challenge for IT sector development. In line with the decree of the President and the relevant documents, the focal point is National Academy. On the 20th of January 2023, when the exhibition Belarus Intellectual was opened, President of Belarus determined the National Academy represented by our institute as the responsible entity for AI development in Belarus. To join our efforts, the National Academy of Sciences organizations and to address the relevant social economic challenges in the Republic of Belarus based on the wide use of digital technologies in the real sector of economy, including the AI technologies, we have created an IT Academy Grad or City. And this entity actually plans to establish the so-called centers of excellence based on AI in such sectors as e-health, e-agriculture, the detection of different images, mathematical modeling, satellite zoning, and internet and information security. One of the key interventions of this IT grad is the Intellectual Forum of Belarus, and at them the findings are discussed and there is cooperation and collaboration of academia, different experts, scientific research institutions, education providers and other sectors doing research in AI sector. This year it will be the third time of the forum on the 9th and 11th of October under the auspices of the National Academy of Sciences. In addition to that, one of the deputies of our institute is heading the task force under the President of the Republic of Belarus for the development and consideration of the legal regulation of the use of AI. The task force is authorized to prepare the proposals to be submitted to the head of state in November this year. This document will be submitted for consideration by the head of state, and it will include the proposals on the development of the relevant document and adoption of AI in Belarus that will provide for a number of activities to develop the concept of AI development in Belarus, as well as a number of other standards in the basic sectors of interest. In conclusion, I would like to say that I hope that our joint work on the development of AI in CIS will eventually lead to common approaches to the definition and the principles of its use. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Sergey, for your presentation. We're very pleased to hear when the academia participates in the development of some regulatory documents and the scientific approach is applied, but without the international expertise, it is very difficult to develop, to draft both national and international documents. And now I'd like to give the floor to Anna Nylander, expert at the Chief Digital Office of the United Nations Development Programme.
Dear participants, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today at the ICT International Forum of Minsk. My name is Anna Nylander-Vojevic, and I work at the Chief Digital Office of the United Nations Development Programme. And I will be speaking about UNDP's approach and how we can balance innovation with regulation. So our AI approach is rooted in our principles, our guiding principles for digital transformation. And UNDP puts humans at the center of our digital transformation efforts, as well as approach digital from a gender and inclusive perspective. We also contribute to share global standards and frameworks and promote open standards and open data. UNDP employs an integrated societal approach and works with leaders across society to make sure that we strengthen local digital ecosystems around the globe. Finally, we also leverage strategic partnerships to digital development. So what do we offer member states and our partners? We have a broad mandate and integrated role within the UN system, and this has allowed us to leverage our position within the UN system, as well as create strategic partnerships across governments and line ministries. We have a long-standing expertise in supporting governments on digital transformation and have worked with governments across all geographies around the world. We also take a rights-based and intentionally inclusive approach, as well as having a proactive consideration of the risks of digital technologies. And finally, we also have the value of an unparalleled country presence. We currently operate in more than 170 countries around the world. So artificial intelligence has the potential to solve some of the greatest challenges that we are experiencing today. However, without the right guardrails in place, we also see new challenges and emerging risks that we haven't faced before. More than ever, industries and countries need to work together to tackle these existing and emerging AI challenges that we are experiencing. Yet, gaps remain, and the challenge is clear. We need a global governance framework for these technologies and how it should be used moving forward. The Secretary General High-Level Advisory Board on AI published an interim report on the recommendations for the international governance of AI previously last year in December. The report presents 5 guiding principles for international AI governance, which UNDP stands behind. So AI should be governed inclusively for the benefit of all, and this means that participation across society should be included in the design and the development of AI technologies. AI should be governed in the public interest to ensure that it's responsible. It should also be closely aligned with data governance and its principles. So privacy protection, for example, cannot merely be an afterthought, but should be an embedded principle in each and every AI system and tool. Finally, AI governance must be universal and based on agile collaboration across sectors, across countries, and it should be anchored in the UN Charter and the Sustainable Development Goals. So what are the risks if we do not have adequate AI governance in place? Many countries and marginalized communities specifically will be left behind in the AI race that we are seeing today. And this will further deepen the digital divide between countries, but also within, and it will not reflect the realities of the majority of population of the globe. And this is due to the lack of digitized local data, an AI skill gap, as well as an underrepresentation of women in data and in technology. To tackle these risks, countries worldwide have or are designing new AI legislation and strategies corresponding to the rapid development of artificial intelligence that we are seeing. Efforts include the new development of new legislation, national AI strategies, but also some voluntary guidelines and standards. Given the transformative nature of AI, the challenge for jurisdictions is to find a balance between innovation and the regulation of AI's risks. So the countries you see on this map, they are countries that have currently AI strategies or legislations in place, whereas the ones in gray have not yet. So with little or no regulation, a sector will be left in uncertainty, investment will be hindered, and the innovation ecosystem will be blocked. However, too much regulation isn't good either, because that can hamper a sector and make a local ecosystem uncompetitive. And if you're interested in learning more about the balance between innovation and AI regulation, I invite you to participate in the workshop that my colleague will be holding here this afternoon at the Forum. So how do we at UNDP support countries in this AI journey? We prepare them by considering them, the governments, both as a user and an enabler of AI through different dimensions such as data, infrastructure, skills, with the help of a tool we use called the AI Readiness Assessment. Secondly, we support countries in increasing local knowledge of AI, also its relevance and potential in country-specific context. And we do this by providing easy access to training tools and to open source platforms such as digital public goods or our data to strategy navigator tool. We also support governments in designing and implementing robust data governance frameworks to protect the end users and ensure that we build ethical ecosystems. Finally, we develop and deploy AI solutions together with countries that are human-centered, safe, and inclusive at its core. And we also support countries in deploying practical AI solutions, as I mentioned. So here, together with government partners, we implemented a digital social vulnerability index that can monitor and understand the exact location, distribution, and underlying drivers of social vulnerabilities. Another example is our technology reader for disaster risk reduction, which has the capability to systematically track frontier technologies as they're developed and categorized. And as a final note, I want to underline that UNDP stands committed to supporting member states in their AI journey, and I look forward to hearing more about the efforts within this space today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. From this presentation, I would like to outline 3 issues that I believe all of us should to remember after this presentation. The first one is about international expertise that UNDP has. International expertise that could be used in different countries. Second one that we always lack of is a systemic approach. All the time when we discuss the governance, we always try to find out who is more interested, which industry, which company. This systemic approach is more important for us rather than just a business approach. And the third issue is the balanced approach that I would like also to outline. So balanced between innovation, between other goals, UNDP goals, sustainable goals, they're all quite important that we sometimes forget about. Thank you very much once again. И сейчас я хотел бы предоставить слово Оскару Синчеву, руководителю управления международного сотрудничества национальной информационной технологии. Спасибо.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые коллеги. Большое спасибо за возможность выступить. Да, меня зовут Оскар Синчев, я представляю национальные информационные технологии Республика Казахстан. Моя специализация юриспруденция, я завершил Казахский государственный юридический университет и дипломатическую академию Министерства иностранных дел Российской Федерации. Но так получилось, что вот последние 15 лет работаю в сфере цифровизации и в рамках своей работы завершил большие проекты, такие системы аналитические, основанные на больших данных, как там система управления рисками для Министерства финансов, смарт-дата-документ для правительства Республики Казахстан, который сейчас объединяет данные более чем 90 баз данных государственных, и сейчас является лауреатом многих
And now it has deserved many awards of prestigious award ceremonies, including UNDP, IUS, and this year we were recognized as highly commended top 3. Because of my legal background and I see that there's certain lack of certitude about whether we will be able to face the challenges of AI, because today's report is called Legal Regulations of Artificial Intelligence. I will use real examples for that. In order to put everybody on the same page, I would like to give you a definition of law, because there are specialists and non-specialists in the legal field. General definition of law is the jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is one of the ways to regulate public relations. In other words, this is a certain regulatory mechanism that responds to society in response to ever complicated public relations. During the transition from the taking economy to giving economy, many societies, independent from themselves, were forced to create legal mechanisms to regulate relations which became more complex, like the separation of labor, labor surplus because of the demographic growth. And in that respect, modern international law is the direct result of global wars, and its manifestation is the UN family, and its charter is the main overarching document in the international law. Now, the question, would AI technologies be a driving factor which, scale-wise and risk-wise, would indeed require a totally new approach, systemic approach to create a new regulatory mechanism? Of course it is, and let's see why. Here, once again, I would like to make a caveat to tell you what I understand by AI. AI for me is an automated system of management, some hardware, software solutions to run different processes. AI as intelligence is a form of non-biological form of intelligence which can reflect, think, and make conclusions and make decisions. We'll discuss it at the end. What influence can be levied by artificial technologies of AI on our life? First, most obvious one is it can affect the labor market. Another thing, we don't understand the sheer scope of that influence. Now, many people like myself, like lawyers, accountants, office workers, in fact, will be made redundant. They will be replaced by AI.
режиссеры будут не нужны.
I can
Почему?
continue
Потому
this
что
list,
там
like
сценаристы,
directors or
искусственный интеллект напишет
script
сценарий,
writers, because
быстрее,
AI can write
точнее,
a script
точнее
much
с точки
quicker
зрения
and
запросов,
better
потому что он может
to respond
пробежаться
public
по
demand, because it can
запросам
go
в
through the
поисковиках, интересах и так далее, да.
potential
И вот
interests of
сейчас уже
users
создаются
in the
некоторые
search engines, and
интересные
now
решения,
already
когда
many interesting
даже актеры не
solutions are
нужны. То есть
created when
искусственный
even
интеллект рисует
actors
картинку,
are no
рисует
longer necessary, when
какое-то
AI
действие и
can
так далее. То есть
draw
фильмы, мультфильмы,
or
все будет
make
делать
digital
искусственный интеллект.
pictures with
Водители,
like real live
айтишники
actors.
уже, многих айтишников
Drivers,
заменяют. То есть список
program
можно
developers
продолжать
are
бесконечно.
easily
И самое
replaceable by
интересное,
AI,
то,
and
что
this list continues
многие
as
из
I
этих
speak.
профессий, они
And
связаны
interestingly
именно
enough, many of
со
those
средним
professions are
классом.
related
То
to
есть вот
middle
вы
class,
сидите здесь, и
like you're
80%
sitting here, and
из вас будут
80% of
программисты
you
уже в
will run
ближайшее
the
время.
risk of
Вот. А
AI
средний класс — это
replacement very soon,
цементирующий, на самом деле,
because middle
прослойка
class
общества.
is the cementing
И
part of any
это будет иметь
society, and that will have a massive effect. That's what we tend not to understand. Another interesting field when we can see the influence of AI would be education. Here I wouldn't see a direct influence, but there is indirect influence. I'm telling you this for you to feel this sheer scope. I remember once when I used digital calculators and our math teacher banned us from using digital calculators because we couldn't do this math ourselves without the calculator. Now generative digital networks like ChatGPT is much more advanced calculator. These are the things that can do business plan, write a thesis for you under the conditions of massive, cheap, or even free of charge application of AI. The quality of training of our students and postgraduate students will drop significantly, because instead of doing this work themselves, and it is in fact a very important category when we will be talking about the education of a person, its ability to work with the text. But why? It will be all outsourced to AI and will be done from the earliest of age and will be done en masse. You understand what kind of effect it can have on mankind in the context of a few generations. And here, considering the scale here, or our English speakers use this word, it indeed requires a more systemic approach, not like AI killed your profession altogether, you can requalify yourself, or you fall out of the market. No, it doesn't work that way. Or conditionally speaking, say, you tell parents not to prohibit their children to use ChatGPT. It's again unworkable, because this technology is going to be integrated in every part of our lives. Let's look at other aspects of AI application. For instance, driverless cars. What legal mechanisms shall we apply if this car, driverless car, kills a passenger or kills a pedestrian? If it were driven by a live driver, we know all the liabilities, but what about AI? How to punish and who to punish the owner of the car, which was driven by AI developer of the software, or the owner of that software? But the finest line here is how to punish them. Of course, we cannot apply criminal law here, but what comes to my head would be penalty, like fines. If it is corporation, then large fine. But here, dear colleagues, is where we have the rub, because it looks like at the legislative level, for the first time, we're going to evaluate a life of a human being. If we give a fine, it means that we value the human life like this. It can lead to unpredictable consequences, and it can erase the borders between rights and liberties of person. Before that, we were talking about fundamental right to labor, and we understand already that it's going to be violated by AI. It will happen during our lifetime. It will be happening en masse. Do we have any regulatory mechanism to reverse it? It's a big question. Another conceptual question about the erasure of these boundaries. That's exactly what I was specializing on, thinking about predictive data and AI. We don't have enough time to discuss this. Yes, predictive thing can give you quite exact forecasts, and very soon, maybe now it sounds unbelievable, but soon it's much better to prevent any crimes, but eventually can lead to erasure of basic principle of presumption of innocence. For instance, now it's hard to believe it, but try to imagine what happens when we have a massive campaign and some AI, for instance, gives good forecasts and would tell you that if you could do that, then 90% of all the crimes wouldn't happen. Let's do the prevention instead. And then, guys, the presumption of innocence is no longer going to be a basic principle that our law is based on.
And the last, before I start talking about AI, I'd like to talk about institutional governance. In the area of financial sector, for instance, there are actors and there are different banks, national bank, commercial investment banks and other actors, where the rights and obligations are distributed. There is regulation, regulators, but to some extent in the sector of AI, this is only at its start, and there are no such institutional mechanisms and frameworks, although we understand that there are large actors on the market in view of their technological capacities, financial capacities, that will impact and are influencing a lot. And through these technologies will impact the lifestyle. But there should be some approach to regulate. And there are some sensitive technologies that could be used for some fraudulent activities, such as deepfake activities. Look, I tried to convey this idea of large scale of those changes, transformations that will happen. And these transformations will actually, they have already happened, but we will feel them in about 5 years and quite likely in 10 years. So in 10 years, the world will change. And an important thing about AI that will be a kind of methodological form of our understanding and recognition, and there will be all the functions, reflection and setting the tasks, logics, and it's clear that the current technologies cannot do this. Even the generative neuron networks, because for a person to find new answer to a task, he destroys his neuron networks and creates new modes, new units, and thanks to this finds new solutions. And in the technical application we don't have this, but roughly speaking, this principle can be implemented. It is not an impossible task. And sooner or later, some enthusiasts will do it in some part of the world. It will be an artificial neural networks of new type that will be able to restructure their architecture to be able to find new solutions, not a combination of already known solutions, but new solutions. And because of this, it will become much stronger than those existing. But at the same time, we may not say whether it will understand itself as such. So, for the biological form of life, in order to understand, to perceive itself, it needs society, the understanding of the words, the language, and the mirroring. And in the mirror, we realize ourselves. And therefore, the implementation of this principle as such, when it is capable of finding new solutions, quite unlikely will be able to self-perceive. But we have some naive approaches and our belief that we can restrict it through some laws, because the principle itself, that is restructuring of the architecture, that is at random and randomized. And how can you understand when it may happen and limit it somehow? And the self-perception of AI will be random as well, but it is quite likely. We don't know the principles of the development of non-biological forms. We may not apply our rules to this. We do not know when it may happen, but there is still this likelihood. But if you deep dive, then yes, many people start understanding this, especially if it is based on this principle, then, dear colleagues, there is some other more relevant issues, and they are getting more relevant. Why? Because self-perceived non-biological form, when we don't know which objectives it will set out, but we may predict that quite likely one of the key objectives will be to stay alive, because this is the basic principle followed by all the biological forms, and therefore we don't have any grounds to predict or to perceive that it will be different way. And in this context, it's quite interesting that it is self-evident to understand who it will impact. It will impact us, the humanity, those governing structures. So this device or this thing will actually, this digital environment will have no competitors. And if it happens, then our firewalls, viruses created by the humans will be lagging behind a lot compared to this AI, and we won't be able to control it somehow. And what makes it even more relevant? So AI as an automatic governance system with the scope of impact, but it will be even worse. But in terms of the time, it will be almost at the same time, not the decade, but about 5 years. And we will need to address these challenges. And the last argument in this context for us to understand at which crossroads we are, it seems that the questions I raised are quite complex, but in another 3, 5, maximum 10 years, you can ask AI and ask it to develop, to describe which laws are to be adopted, amendments to these laws, and the changes to the governance architecture, and in a number of seconds, this AI will create a number of tools. So it will create it instantly for each country. You know, we will use AI to create the regulatory and legal basis for its regulation. And quite likely it will do it for the benefit of the company, but we will not keep track of this. But in case artificial intelligence acts in its own benefit, we will not keep track of this as well. Therefore, I believe the establishment of some interdisciplinary task forces in different countries to understand this, to collect and to learn the expertise, understand the context, to learn experience and to exchange it. Unlike artificial intelligence, we need time, we need efforts, and it will be much more complex for us. And quite likely the artificial intelligence will do this, but we need to do it in the context of the protection of human rights and liberties. So these changes will take place without us. And how we can protect ourselves and protect what the humanity has already developed in terms of the protection of our rights and liberties, this is the key challenge as far as I see it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oskar raised a very interesting, important challenge. If we start thinking, quite often we understand that we are very busy and it is our faraway future, and it does not relate to our companies, to our organizations. Not all the companies are involved in this, but there is the country for which tomorrow has already come. AI has already captured all the spheres of the life, and we understand that Oskar is right, and all our arguments, ideas and reflections are a reality. And this country is China, and I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Zhao, Professor, Executive Director of Moscow State University, Beijing Institute of Technology, Shenzhen MCU, BIT University Joint Research Center. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I do apologize, but my presentation will be in English. Of course, you can ask questions in Russian after my presentation, if there is still some time left. Итак, название моей презентации «Развитие ИИ в Китае. Текущие эффекты и задачи на перспективу». Количество мер политики, направленных на поляризацию ИИ в Китае. Здесь также представлены статистические данные за последний год, кстати, и на левом графике вы видите изменения в инвестициях, в продуктах ИИ со стороны IT-компаний, которые исследовали, применяли ИИ в разных странах мира. А на графике справа текущий статус применения генеративного ИИ в разных странах мира. И Китай также выходит на первые позиции, как вы видите.
Sorry.
Ой, прошу прощения.
So here is some data from IBM. Okay, you can see that the applications of AI. It's the left graph shows like the business propositions of the by the Chinese IT companies which use the AI technologies or automation technologies. And on the left side, it's like the propositions of the personal applying AI in Chinese companies. And this is the data actually from last year. And now I would like to show the current status and the achievements of artificial intelligence in China. And here is, you can see, it's also the data from the August last year. Until then, we have more than 500 AI-related laboratories and the innovation centers. And actually, we have 10 national level the scientific center. Many of them are located in the larger cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. And here is actually according to the data of the publications in the top journals or conference proceeding. Actually, China is also occupied the first position. As you can see, even though the data is 2 years ago, but as I know that in the last 3 years, this data, China is also always occupies the first position according to the publication. Here is some directions in the AI, which China occupies it is a forefront in the world. For example, the natural language, the computer vision, and the knowledge graph. In these directions, China occupies the first position in the world. Now, I would like to say something about the application of AI in the social production in China. Actually, in almost every area in the social production, China actively apply AI. As you can see, that the smart city or digital twin city, these concepts actually appeared 10 years ago in China. Here is a special fields where the China produces significant contributions by the AI. It's about the logistic fields, about the smart transportation and so on. Sorry. oh, it's changed there. Sorry. I have to look back to the screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is about the smart payments. Yeah. Smart payments. You can see that actually nowadays in China, almost in the public atmosphere, like the supermarket, like the transportation, like a center, like the government center, like the everywhere we use like smart payment, like the face scanning payments and so on. Here we also have some realization of the self-driving for the taxi and the bus. Here is some pictures from Shenzhen government. Of course, this is realized in some region with a simple simple environment. And here I give two examples about the applications of AI in the medical fields. And here's two pictures about the successful application of AI in the operation. And the left side, you can see that the doctor do the remote operation. And so the operation room is almost empty. Yeah, they do outside. And the right hand side, you can see even it's the doctor, it's in another city. So of course they need some kind of help. The operation system in some small city, they have like nurses. They are helped to do some other things. But the main operation is made by the doctor in another city. Here I show some quite. How to say, is a successful AI-related companies, as you know, like Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent, and so on. Lots of such kind of AI companies, very successful. And last, I would like to show something about the future trends about the AI in China. Of course, it's my own opinion. I just give like 5. The first trend is about the application of AI in the cooperation between the vehicle and the road in order to reduce the traffic jam or accidents. Yeah. The second trend is about the application of AI in the chip field. As you know, nowadays, so the relationship between China and the US, it's not so good. Yeah. As you can see the data, actually in last 5 years, our government spent like more than 100 million Chinese yuan in these fields to develop the chip. And this is quite actually successful in China now about the big model. You know, in the future, in my opinion, we have lots of big model in different fields, like the big model for the weather prediction. It's published in the Nature. Also, like especially like traditional Chinese medicine, we have big model on that case. The fourth trend is about the connections between the terminal model and the cloud model in order to upgrade the data storage and also the communication. This is also one main direction in China. The last trend is actually is my field. It's about the AI for the science. You know, I'm mathematician. It's work in the science for more than 20 years. Yeah. So I will speak more words. Even I have no time. Yeah. So actually, for doing scientific research, there exist two kind of paradigm. One is called the Kepler paradigm. It's about the data analysis. And you can see here, we can receive some constructions of the AlphaFold 3, very popular now in the biologics. Another paradigm is about the Newton paradigm. Yeah, it's very successful during last 100 years. It's about the based on the first principle of the universe. We propose some kind of equations. We want to solve it. Here is actually, but so far, the seeking new first principle actually has been done until the quantum mechanics. The remaining thing is just how to. There exists lots of hundreds of mathematical models where people do not know how to solve it correctly, efficiently. Yeah. Here is some examples by the first principle. If you know. You know some equations like Euler equations, Navier-Stokes equations, Lamy equations, or Maxwell equations. Is very, it's the science. It is a kernel of the science, you know. But there exists two fundamental difficulties. It's how to present the data, the model, mathematical model, more accurately, corresponding to real world. Another one later is how to develop a very efficient algorithm to solve the problem. And this has been done in 1950s when we have some computer, most probably proposed by the von Neumann. He proposed lots of, after that time, we proposed lots of numerical methods to solve it. But this is just traditional methods. So this is my last page. So, but the main difficulty for the traditional method is called the curse of dimensionality. This means that when your parameter, your dimension increase a little, but the complex of the to realize is increase grammatically. It's like that. But how this can be solved by the machine learning, deep learning? And here, last I just show the three results published in the Nature. One is the guy uses AI to solve a very complex biological problem. The second one for the complex physical problem. Even the last one is solved for the pure mathematics. So I stop my talking here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Спасибо. Ну, сложно было останавливать докладчика, когда из зала все фотографируют слайды. Поэтому я надеюсь... Я хочу предоставить слово также моему модератору Алексею Шедерику, который представит...
Alexei Shederik, who is going to introduce other speakers, because next on we are going to have a whole list of our Russian speakers. So I'm passing my moderation to you. Thank you, Kirill. As a moderator, I will briefly reflect on the previous speeches. That international block proved to be very interesting and thought-provoking. Indeed, we observed with great interest the experience and expertise of China in terms of international research and application of AI, and in terms of transport and automation of production and industries. Indeed, our colleagues already live in the tomorrow, and many practices are learned from them. Aside from that, there were a number of important questions raised in terms of regulation, but there were no two paths mentioned that are used in Russia. First is the applied use of technology, and here I would like to use the testing regimes, or we call them sandboxes, that we use in digital economy environment, that when we make exemptions from laws where we test a certain technology based on the same mechanism, we have launched a driverless cab, driverless trucks, AI in healthcare sector and many other fields. What does it allow us? It allows us to shrink down the regulatory cycle to write a law. Before that, we had to write federal law and another year to write bylaws. Now we can test the technology in practice, prepare a risk model, and then based on that, write the laws and regulations based for this technology. And it seems to work much better because the AI technology develops much quicker than we can keep up with in terms of legislation development. That is why we are prepared to share this experience, and there were many examples to be mentioned here. When we say that AI is approaching the life and health of people, we create special certification centers. Like, for instance, in Gupnam, we have a platform which checks the driverless transport before it is allowed to ply the normal roads. We have a special testing ground where we put this driverless car, where we create different cases, and if the car goes through all these cases, it is allowed to drive regular roads. The same is true about healthcare. We have autonomous data set, and we check how the solutions provided by the developers in line with the characteristics, and only after that this solution can be used to recognize the photos of the COVID patients, for instance, like the lung x-rays. Secondly, I can say that a big role in terms of AI promotion is played by the so-called soft laws or soft regulation. Kirill already mentioned the National Ethical Code for AI. There is a second document also, the Declaration for Responsible Use of Big Language Models, also created and signed in Russia, and it moves forward towards international recognition. That is why it is also an important mechanism that allows us to be more responsible and ethical in using these technologies. Now, moving to you, Edward, the Federal Center for Applied AI plays an important role because it was fully launched in March 2024. On the one hand, you collect practices on how to put AI to good use in industries. Yes, approach me, please. And you create legal conditions and provide the overall support and expert support to digital attaches. Please tell us how you develop AI in industries and what challenges do you face there. Yes, thank you, colleagues. Colleagues, can you put my presentation on the screen, please? Colleagues, now, I have a small referential remark to make about the previous speeches. I like very much the speeches of our foreign partners. Indeed, there are a lot of problems mentioned, a lot of painful matters that we try to overcome every day. That is why my presentation is a logical continuation from those challenges mentioned by our colleagues, which demonstrate not only more detailed characteristics of those challenges, but also the instruments and mechanisms that can be used and are used in Russia to address those challenges and problems. The first slide, colleagues, shows the sheer scope of support measures provided by the government of Russia to the application of AI technologies. Please note that the support measures are administered at the level of Minister of Industry and Trade, Minister of Digital Technologies, Federal Tax Service, and other development institutions. What I'm saying is that such a big toolkit sometimes can simply confuse a business. They would not know what application to prepare, who to go to, who to approach, and one of the ways to go about it, we saw a systematization and classification of all those support measures based on our institution, our AI navigator, as we call it, and we invite everybody to see and learn more about it. Key industrial subsidies, let's call them that way, there is a certain legal collision shown on this slide, because these three key support measures are approved by the orders of the government, but we have the system because independent of these orders and decrees, the bodies that administer the support measures, they can flexibly fine-tune the work of different subsidy for better support. Three key things. How do we see an ideal supporter for AI promotion? First, quite self-evident notion that doesn't require further comment, that AI must work on something. There must be some hardware or software base, and that software base must be recognized and certified in Russia and should be domestic. One of the directions for us is to support this efforts to create an electronic component base, as we call it, that would be able to handle AI technologies. That would be R&Ds and other things. Second is creation of specialized hardware software complexes that will work with AI, different expediters, neuromorphal ones and others. And the third important element is this actual industrial software. We all realize that working with software is basic, is a baseline. Without a software, we won't be able to use any AI, and as a result, that we won't have a breakthrough economic effect that our industry is aiming at. But this is only one side of the matter. These are the financial support mechanisms that's quite understandable, that are main painful thing, but we also identify others. Six key challenges identified by Russian industries during the implementation of AI. First, funding constraints. What to do with funding constraints? Based on the first slide, you could see who, with which request we can go to. The lack of success stories of AI implementation in other industries, because it is quite a large investment project for any industrial company. First, they want to see how it works with other companies. Lack of data or guiding lines, how to work with that. Lack of legislation. This field in Russia so far is under legalized. That's why companies also want to have level playing field to work on. Also, lack of development of the AI technologies and the lack of professional personnel. What do we suggest? The principal lines of activities for our center, which were developed at the end of 2023 and 2024, we continue to develop them further. They are shown on this slide. Colleagues who find it interesting can take a photo and then can read more about it, but I will move to actual activities. First, regulation. What do we need? We need standards. Standards not only in terms of state standards, but also international standards. First approach. I'm waiting for the next slide. I don't know why I cannot switch over to the next one. Okay. Once again. Yes. Colleagues, we need standards, both domestic and international, some kind of level playing field, the general framework that under our technical committee we created our own subgroup of AI in industries, and now we are shaping up and developing a future standardization program that will include a list of standards that will help us better define AI in industry, what kind of data should be used there, what would be the guiding principles to use them, and second big flagship project that we are conducting together with our colleagues from Ministry of Industry and Trade is the development of regulatory landscape to work with industrial data. Every single industrial company wants to get industrial data not only from their subsidiaries, but also from the whole sector. That would help them cut down on costs to maintain the equipment, create better predictive models, better recognition systems. These are the barriers which we see and the instruments which can be used to work with them. Secondly, nobody knows what to implement. Everybody's saying that there are too many solutions. Their efficiency is not understood. They don't understand who to go to, who to believe, who to work with. 4 key stages that we see for ourselves, our 4 methodologies based on which we check on how to use AI technologies, we verify them, we test them, we pilot them on our collective use center, and only after that we can provide recommendations of which classes of solutions based on AI can be used. Our methodologies are open source, and those colleagues who are interested, we will be glad to share them with you. We already have sent them out to different industrial associations and so on and so forth. It's important that the next stage for the development of these methodologies would be our work on the development of methodologies for export potential of IT solutions based on AI technologies that will work together with already available instrument of project office of digital attaché center in order to scale up our solutions in the partner countries. Next, this is the Russian efficiency platform. As long as all of us make our part in creating more efficient industries, I must mention our colleagues and partners who we actively cooperate on the actual business processes at our company level by retooling, reconfiguring them, transitioning them to the use of AI and ICT technologies and overall digital transformation of companies. If you look to the right part of the slide, you can see three key services provided: diagnosis, benchmarking, and selection of choices or options. This is where the efficiency RF contributes most of its efforts to give really worthy advice how to retool the industry, how to integrate the AI solution there, by thus increasing the productivity and efficiency and financial indicators of the company. Next important instrument is the digital passport. I think many people have heard about the State Information System GIS. This is the single digital platform for the interaction of the industries and governmental authorities like Ministry of Industry and Trade. There is digital passport. It's both an assessment and benchmarking of industrial companies. They get the assessment of their level of digital maturity. They look at their other colleagues in the sector. They look at their colleagues from in the given territory, and they learn from the best recommendations. And along with our other methodologies and solutions, how to increase the efficiency, they get a holistic recommendation of how to digitally transform their company. And the last, I guess, instrument that we have to offer and that we are prepared to promote actively is the Center of Collective Use. This is a computation cluster that we use for the work and verification of solutions that are based on AI technologies. One way or another, you are all invited to our Collective Use Center, where you can verify your centers, your data sets, and other things. We have a set of basic software which one way or another will help you save some funding to buy it and work in a protected and secure environment. That's all I have to share with you, colleagues. You can follow us in our two official sources of information. First is the Telegram channel and the official webpage. Thank you very much. Thank you, Edward. Sergey, over to you. Rostelecom now is the partner of the state on digitization. It has its own range of products for retail and corporate segments. Tell us, please, where do you use AI within Rostelecom, and what prospects for its further development do you have?
Thank you. The presentation. I decided not to indicate myself, but to quote the best people talking about AI future. And very briefly, I will tell you about today in Rostelecom, in association with AI, and a few words about future. Today, Rostelecom is a service provider for corporate retail segment. And those who are aware of Rostelecom have faced AI-based technologies in our our Win Online cinema. It is deeply penetrated with AI solutions, and all the content associated recommendations are based on AI. And you can actually have a look behind the film. There is a mix of real and virtual world. The public service sector developed by the state is based and is possible through the efforts of Rostelecom. The AI is also actively being developed to create new client services, chatbots. They actually service the clients. And we have the sales system, and the AI is used, AI-based solutions are used to increase the inflow of clients. We've been doing this for a long time, and we see that it is very cost-efficient. But, you know, I'm not very interested in talking about today, but about tomorrow, firstly. And here it's important to understand where the sector is, which challenges and issues there are in the market. I would outline a few trends that describe this sector. It's not my humble view. This is the corporate perception. First of all, augmentation. That is the combination of AI. AI today supplements us in the zones of our non-competence, and this is one of the key trends. Another trend is embodiment, which actually embodies the physical and intellectual world. Different chips, implants, glasses, augmented reality, but there are more technology-related trends. New architecture of models. We don't know which architectures and solutions will emerge and which new opportunities AI will open. That is the installation of models. Those models present at the market today, they are limited in terms of its infrastructure, and computing capacities are required to get the outcome. And it's important to simplify the AI-based models. Multimodality and platform-based system. Talking about multimodality, a person perceives face, voice, and AI is good at this and is good at interacting with different data sets. And being based on a platform, we need to create a set of components that can interact between each other, and through this interaction resolve a number of very specific problems. There are a number of challenges. They have been mentioned today. I will not dwell on them today, with the exception of only one. That is the fear of people of an AI. The humanity has already faced this. The Industrial Revolution a few hundreds years ago, and people against the machines, replacing them. Electrification, this is another process, but we cannot view our life without this. That is car limit, speed limit, limitation, and the math teachers that protest against calculators in school, and now AI, which is a fear of everyone, believing that it may deteriorate us. But we need to think about some way forwards, conversion. So AI shall supplement us, but not vice versa. And therefore, it's important to understand that we should not be afraid of AI. It will not replace us, but it will help us to complete the work we may not complete and finish. Rostelecom, in general, we understand these gaps, these challenges and trends, and strategically we decided not to deep dive into large-scale investment stories. For instance, the development of our own LLM models. We will focus some narrow models and solutions that, first of all, will improve our efficiency, and secondly, will become a part of those products and services consumed by our final users. And all the egocentric solutions, such as sales boost and client service boost, should be done domestically. We shall develop our domestic expertise, because without expertise you don't understand how far you may trust new technologies emerging on the market. And we, as Rostelecom, as telecom company provider, we plan to construct large computing capacities that will be used by a lot of Russian clients and clients from the neighboring countries as well. In general, I may compare it with the following. There is a concept of a human as an employee and a digital employee. So, a human employee is a person who graduated from school, then got his basic education, university, got some skills, he identifies some sector-specific terms, then he is employed by the company and learns about its landscape. And this is the way the AI is going through. We have LLM that actually approaches the university student to these knowledge, but there is a deficit or lack of some narrow specialists, and we plan to create a model that will enable AI to move to another level. That is the level of university graduate, an expert that can openly discuss some technologies. But there is another aspect. When a person is employed by the company, he learns its landscape and some regulations, and it's important to learn to train the AI through API or other tools to be good at the landscape of the company. And then we will reach a level of a digital employee who again supplements a human employee but not replaces him. And for us, internally, strategically, we made a decision that we will follow the following steps. Step one, that is the possibility to learn the AI for all the employees. So we have the Neuro Gateway. We give a person a stick and a spade for them to be able to learn how to apply this tool. And this gateway was integrated with the landscape of the company. Some solutions are very specific for our sector, but they can be automatized. Step number two is the digital environment and the digital helper. So this system encompasses or does more work and decides where to work, in which processes, and how it should be conveyed. And the third, the last step, is a digital employee, which will simplify the workload of a human, and he will only verify the processes, but at the same time he will get more time, more resources to be involved in some other activities. And why I'm stressing this? Because at present in Russia there is quite low unemployment rate, and when we say that machines will replace people, we must understand now that we are in shortage of labor force today in order to be able to create something new. So this is another step to create something new, some new value and asset. And we understand that there are a lot of challenges and opportunities, but the vital things I'd like to stress, not mentioned today. So there are a lot of fraudsters in the market. So there are a lot of startups on the market applying some open source solutions already available. They upgrade them a bit and promote, but if inside your company you don't have the expertise that will enable you to separate something massive from very specific unique, then it is very difficult for such a company to advance and progress. Another thing, in accordance with the new survey, this generative AI is in its height, and a few years after it will be quite low. And to prevent this, the representatives of the sector need to find some wins or benefits that will support generative AI. And this is the way we are following, that is the provision of the neural weight gate, so that we can all bridge this gap. And to many extents, it should be said that all the companies this or that way associated with AI are doing the same developments. They translate, they transcribe, but look, this work does not give some comparative advantage. It's important to establish alliances that will help us to reach our results much faster. Thank you, Sergey. Okay, Evgeny, it's your turn. You may be getting to the stage. MTS is one of the leaders in the development and adoption of AIs, and it is long ago is not associated solely as telecom company. This is an intelligence system with its own products, domestic products, and products for the market. Please tell us how you use technological innovations for the growth of your company. Look, firstly, I'd like to scare you. Haven't you thought why AI is so actively discussed? Why we didn't discuss this 30 years, 2 decades ago, but today? And there is a very funny explanation. Because the humanity, we are always competing. Firstly, we were competing for the gold, then for some trains, then for conveyors, then for the nuclear bomb. While now we are competing for the AI. And the information presentation is very important for my speech, and therefore please put it on the screen. Thank you. So we are always fighting someone to actually be ahead of them. But I will explain why this is a challenge. You know, my humble view is that the humanity is text, is about text. Because if you have a look at the societies, communities, Homo sapiens, 5,500 years ago, the event happened. We invented writing. And a creature that was going to actually die started to write something, so that the legacy was inherited. And the whole civilizations were developed in a way, and the world map is developed in such a way, and because of our ability to write books. I'm not going to offend someone because it is quite disputable, but I'm still sharing my views. In some parts of the world, the people are reading one religious book and they believe in one God. In another part of the world, they are reading a second book and they have their own gods and they have their own society. And in the third part, there is a third book being read, and it determines this society, its values. And you know, there won't be a problem if we still continue to write laws, religious texts, and this is the first time in the history when the generative model writes text instead of us. It writes the text of the law. It does not decide yet, but it writes the text, and we either agree or disagree. So, you know, actually there are no impediments that the machine will one day write a new religion. Look, it is 2024 and there are millions of people who believe that our Earth is not round. So they believe that it is flat, and it is not the truth that we need to believe. So this is a milestone in our history when we see that machines write text better, faster, and we start changing everything around. This is a milestone in our history, changing everything around. There were a lot of quotes, by the way. And, you know, I'd like to say that until COVID time, McKinsey forecasted that by 2030, automatization and AI will destroy about 800 million jobs. I believe they are very optimistic because they didn't know about COVID impacts and some war conflicts in the world, and a lot of jobs will disappear. Yes, they will not disappear as such, they will transform, but these are great hypothesis. But now it's time to actually acknowledge that we are fighting for breakthrough technologies that will enable us to reach a new level of civilization, or otherwise we will actually shoot each other, saying that I'm the first, not me, I'm the first. And this is a sad story, by the way, but where I'm approaching. If I show you a number of products and solutions we are developing in MTS. So AI Crew, the first slide was about this. This is for you to understand that such companies as telecom companies that are in this R&D race, simply because we understand clearly that evolution will never stop. Elon Musk with his solutions, yes, there are risks, fundamental risks for the society, for the human existence, but if evolution cannot be stopped, so no matter what you do, it has already started, and you may not stop it. So this is a new level of technologies. Therefore, we need to deep dive and to have a look and explore how far the hole of the rabbit could be, if you remember, if you recall this fairy tale. MTS created the Innovation Center with a lot of solutions and products there. I will not present them all, but I will highlight only a few of them that may inspire or even scare you, but likely the first one. So we talked about digital avatars a lot. This is a new potential enabling technology. There are thousands of reasons because people are lazy. We don't want to go to some conferences or to actually read our mails. So we don't want to work, and we want to outsource it. And therefore, we created the digital avatar. That this is not a pre-recorded video. I'm not showing all the scenarios because I have only 10 minutes. What I can manage in this time, I will show you. So it's clear. And this is actually the evidence that AI will conquer us one day. Can you put on the voice? Sound. Please turn on the sound. Trousers turn into trousers, go into elegant shorts. Can you please start the video? Wait. Start with myself.
Используя небольшой сэмпл видео и текста, всего от 10 до 30 секунд, любой желающий сможет получить в свое распоряжение цифрового аватара самого себя.
Can get a digital avatar, a digital twin.
В цифровом мире вы,
In the
люди,
digital world,
редко общаетесь
you
вживую,
people
и с
rarely,
магазинами, и с
seldom
сервисами,
talk
с коллегами,
live
и даже с семьей.
with your
Чаще
family,
через чаты,
colleagues.
соцсети
You
и
mostly
видеоконференции.
talk in chat or remotely. The technology, there is a video artifact, but the voice is perfect. So actually, you can create a digital clone of anyone, but you will ask me why. There are a lot of scenarios. I will not show them all, but firstly, we found the application in digital online education, because anyone who tried to understand the online and create the online system, you understand that it's too expensive. Everything you make any videos, for instance Python, but today, tomorrow there is a new firework and you need to start it again. But it's very expensive as it requires studio recording, and we introduced, so actually we employed the live engineer and created the digital avatar, and this is our future. You may select a high quality teacher and digitize what he or she is saying and teaching.
Современный и очень популярный язык. Go представляет собой компилируемый, многопоточный, статический
Go is an integrated multi-flow. There is nothing human. The text has been written a teacher has been selected, and we saved about 25%, but potentially, as regards the national education, the saving may be up to 90%. And it's clear that through digital avatars, you can, in a different way, interact with the internet. Your avatar, who knows your size, who knows whether you jog or not, which brand you like, and that you need the sports shoes to change every 1,500 kilometers, and he knows, and you don't need to waste time. We have another product which is like an analog of Zoom, and since we have something new in different parts of the world, we have employees speaking different languages, we apply digital avatars as simultaneous translations. So you will speak different languages. And this is for international business a totally new potential. This is the specific application, and MTS in Belarus, we will actually share these solutions and exchange them, and you will be able to benefit.
At the same time, many people ask this question: how can a person create your own avatar? Like, we are good guys here, we do it for the scenario that I've just described, but there are hackers, not just hackers, but well-funded hacker bands or hacker gangs that collect data about different countries, and they make up their own digital avatars for totally different purposes. Nobody has yet received a video message from your relative asking for money, and then you learn that it's not your relative. It's a massive problem. And in order to find a solution for it, we have done the private connection between membranes. This is the first private connection. It does a lot of thousands of things, but it cuts off all the trackers that can be cut out of the traffic, because we work on the MTS operator infrastructure. We see cookies that shouldn't profile you, scripts that shouldn't remember anything about you. We just simply see that somebody's following you, and we cut it off, and we provide these opportunities to people and the government to have what we call the digital sovereignty. At the same time, digital intellect is used there in full-fledged manner, and it's used especially in B2B modes, because it can control the leaks, and like the companies leaks, companies that are leaking, and the companies unaware of that it's not your person who is writing all the communications. The membrane allows us to solve this problem, and we put the communication on a different level. You might have noticed that we have a case when an Android is launched on our phone, on an iPhone. We put a different operation system in B2B. It means that any company can privately to its employers give applications, not being afraid that they're going to be compromised, like financial applications or others. It's a very good thing. It's scary, really. The number of threats that are blocked per person are counting thousands of thousands. Can you imagine what is happening to a city of 10 million people? It's a nightmare, and there's a huge demand for such a product. And of course, that as a derivative of it, it would be the children's product, membrane for kids. In many years, we have learned how not to click on the clickbaits, like Nigerian prince writing that they're prepared to give you tons of gold. But children haven't learned that, so we create this digital umbilical cord between the parental and the children's phones, and all the child's traffic is run from the parent's phone, even if they're not online and free of charge Wi-Fi. And we think it is very useful. Can you please wrap it up, because you're over time already. It's always bad to speak the last. You're not the last. We have other speakers. Oh, again, I'm sorry. Then whatever is related to cybersecurity cannot not develop. So it's not enough to speak about AI. We need to keep understanding that whatever is related to data, biometrics control, movement control must not be only controlled, but it must be data, the digital skeleton which is protected. Later on, you can page through my presentation and read about those products. I'm not going to waste your time, but I can tell you that Psych8 product, something that we do in FutureCrep. You see the visualization of cyber threats based on the Russian map. Of course, you can put not only Russian map here, but for any country you can do the same scanning and see the real status of cameras, which shouldn't be online, connected online, when anybody can connect to them. There's a critical infrastructure of oil and gas industry, and there are vulnerabilities which are not rectified. And this is not an imagination. That's the real scanning, and the more scanning you do, the more scary things you learn. The number of cyber threats is phenomenal, and the AI is a problem, but not the chief problem. The chief problem is the data protection and the information that we provide to AI. And I will finish by one simple thought. It has been mentioned before, but I personally am concerned about it very much. Most importantly is that the chief currency of this age is not what we are thinking about. It will be about computation powers. And now there is an uneven distribution of computing power, like the modern computer called the Frontier in the United States is really outstanding and can do about 1,200 petaflops. To understand whether it is a lot, you need to understand that Russia has 110, and we have quite good supercomputers, but we are lagging very much behind. If you take 20 UN countries, we see that less than 1% of them have enough superpower to teach their supercomputers. So the only way to go about it is to work together and to teach our AI models together transparently, based on the same principle as Torvaldsson used in his operation, when developers see what their colleagues do and share these findings and unfortunately fears as well. Thank you. That would be the end. Thank you, Evgeny. Indeed, it was very difficult for me to put a stop to you because we are running over time. Alexei, then moving over to you. Data analysis school is one of the leading schools to train specialists of different specialization in IT. Tell us, please, how do you train specialists on AI? Yes, thank you very much. In fact, I will speak not only about how data analysis school works and who we train there, but rather what Yandex Education sets as objectives, who to train, how to train, and what to train. Some of the first slides were about the market analysis. I'm also waiting for my presentation to go on screen, like the previous speakers. I will simply tell you that the first few slides already have been mentioned by previous reports. In fact, we wanted to deliver this general idea together with my colleagues that, generally speaking, in the world, we can see two principal trends in education, like AI transformation that we keep talking about, and the advent and the changeover of the digital education. It's not a matter of today. We need to wait for 10, 20 years more, but with the generative technologies in AI, we see that this process has sped up considerably. And here, I must say the following. If we speak about AI transformation, we can find out a number of principal matters. Some of the transformers will be made redundant. Up to 50% of them will be made redundant. You will need to change your knowledge and skills to find a place in a new environment. Also, the AI evolution requires interdisciplinary approaches, many types of activities, human activities, digital technologies, technologies related to AI will continue to penetrate all those fields, and the only way to reduce it of purely technical preparation in different professions and to add some meta skills and meta competencies of, say, critical analysis, something that AI hints at, or otherwise we entrust it fully with decision making. On the other hand, speaking about digital education, here also we need to remember a number of changes. On the one hand, digital education is lagging behind in the field of methodology, when solutions coming from business and the experimentation are much quicker than what pedagogy can prepare a response to, how to immerse ourselves into this educational process, both for teachers and students. On the other hand, I also need to highlight another thing, that we see the erasure of professional education strategies and development. Often we register a simple fact that the profession that a specialist is training for is not going to be for a whole life, it's going to be for 2 or 3 years, and then they will have to drastically change their skill sets. And that skill set is expanding as we speak. We need to know and know more and how to do it. That's what I wanted to talk about, how AI can be integrated into the educational process, how to change methodology for training, how to train, who to train, how to assess, how to manage the training process, how to change it on the fly through a number of iterations, because we realize that virtually everywhere we see small incremental steps of change, not huge breakthrough changes. At least that huge era that we're about to step into requires quick reaction to small changes. And I would have told you about some of the educational projects that Yandex has and the matters that we raise, like the data analysis school started in 2007, and thus it predicted the huge demand for the specialists in data science, machine learning, and AI now. It's a master's training program, 4-semester program for four different directions, not about theory and practice of AI, but also about the development of infrastructure, not hardware, but rather software. That's where our machine learning models can learn and where we can keep our data and store our data. We try to use educated approach by adding it more flexibility and freedom for our students. On the other hand, the project activities and the teamwork bring us to better solutions of integrated and holistic problems, not such holistic ones as were mentioned in the first half of our conference. And the creation of the new things is something that we try to orient our students for, and so that they have to be prepared to create their future right after they graduate. On the other hand, we're facing quite a difficult situation with GPT technologies. All the students, one way or another, are using, as well as teachers and specialists, are using GPT. And we know that it has a huge risk and it delivers a serious blow on the traditional system of knowledge sharing that have developed over the past 200 years that we have used for all those years. Our experiment with the High School of Economy is to try to study the sequentially, step by step, how a student can improve the quality of their thesis by using GPT technology, but at the same time realizing and having full ownership and giving that idea to the convention, what conclusions have been done, what findings were arrived at by the students himself or herself, and the reflexive chapter at the end to help through this bundled mindset to see whether we can transform the actual thesis form or not. This June, we're going to defend the first thesis in the High School of Economy. I'm not prepared to share the results yet, but I'm sure our colleagues are going to publish these findings, and please read them, that they are going to be published in the next few months or weeks. Next thing related to the influence and participation of our participation in the training programs would be interdisciplinary nature, that colleagues from the international panel spoke about. First of all, Dr. Jen, who said that virtually any life sphere is related or has some AI integrated into it. And we need not only some pure research in laboratories, but we need more hands-down experience in clinic and school, road specialists, biologists. People need to start learning it at universities. We need to add additional blocks about AI to university curricula, as well as the technologies that can be integrated in future. I do not suggest that by this step we reconfigure everything that we have, but instead we need to start training our specialists of the future already now. And this way we try to make our part. On the other hand, the openness of internal developments and that we have is also required. Since last year at our data analysis school, we decided to invite to this joint work our colleagues and tell them about difficult technical solutions, difficult frontier ideas to the open society. In December 2023, we had the first intensive GPT week, and now we have an infrastructure intensive training on SRE. It's just starting and is going to be organized in July this year. A few more steps will be described about what we're testing with, and the next project, which is also closely resonating with what we are discussing today. To do something single-handedly is impossible. We need to unite our efforts. We need to put together universities on some general programs and mathematical and technical universities. Different disciplines of industries must be put together so that they think together and plan together for the future. This way, the Structempo project is a small one vis-a-vis the scope that I tried to outline. The project of joint educational experience distributed among different leading universities who have stronger competences in different fields. And this year, we have engaged the support from ETMO, High School of Economy, and Yekaterinburg Federal University. At the same time, by subdividing within this 2-week program the data about machine learning, software engineering, robotics, and AI, we believe that any students who signed in and is pre-selected to these training modules can add to their classical education by this interdisciplinary modules. It's not interdisciplinary, it's more competency mode of education on AI and application of AI technologies. A few words about how it works, what it looks like. Most of the programs, about 60% of it, contains the university-based component, which is added by about 1/3 of additional data or additional training materials and disciplines or separate lectures on data analysis or data science, and about 10% more of this bulk would be the lectures from practitioners who tell students how they put it to practical use. And that is the project-based approach that many people speak about, but very few things are done. When I'm saying that project-based approach is not used that much, by teaching at the university, I sincerely believe that even if the project is not completed, we give a mark to a student, because as teachers we cannot break them down, saying that no, you're not going to keep on studying here because you failed the project, but the modules added to the training process can be assessed much more strictly. I'm almost over, but my time is over. Yes, please wrap it up. Yes, I just need 1.5 slides left. A small handbook on prompting that shows how to handle GPT models or diffusion models for generation of pictures or images, what methodology can be integrated there, and how to do fact-checking. For that, we're going to publish a separate paper. And about AI assistants. People mentioned them today as well, AI assistants for education, for the products under development. Hanamiga has already been announced, some internal products. Yandex also has something to offer, and the work for mass school segment is also in progress, like creating Yandex textbook. So the 3 points to apply our investments in education that we think about with our colleagues. First is AI literacy, not being afraid of AI, companion services which are creating the so-called digital avatar or digital companion to increase the productivity and new AI content. For that we need to train really super qualified specialists, not to keep catching up with other superpowers. Thank you very much. Thank you. I see that we are losing our audience and we are losing our speakers. Colleagues, we have 3 more presentations. Please focus your attention. I understand that it's hard to accept so much new content. Andrei, can you please tell us about the new solutions in AI where business and countries can save some money?
Коллеги, если можно, выведите сразу презентацию.
Colleagues, can you put my presentations on screen right away? Colleagues, hello. Good afternoon, rather good evening. You have learned a lot about AI today already, but which one of you has used such things as GPT chats? Have you experimented with that? I don't see many hands here. I guess those of you who did have learned something new about it. Maybe you use it in your daily activities, but how this thing really works now for businesses, this is exactly what I'm going to talk about. My name is Andrei Kachetov. To begin with, what associations do you have when you think about the usefulness of AI for businesses and government? First of all, it means maximum automation of all the processes. Whatever can be automated must be automated. Next, every solution is based on exact data that support throughput automation, and then it is done at a high professional level of high precision. What you have just heard, is this science fiction or not? I think we have already approached that future that was drawn to us by science fiction writers. First thing we see here is the optimization of processes, increasing of the quality, reduction of errors. It already brings additional benefits to us. Examples from some of the Russian organizations really simply confirm it. First of all, you can ask yourself a question, how those metrics and effects have been calculated, because always there can be some level of uncertainty, but nobody wants to waste money, and everybody believes that it would be everybody wants to see for sure that it gives real benefits. How to achieve results in your business? There are sets of typical scenarios that can deliver quick results in foreseeable future, from 6 months and a year, even sometimes 3 months. Let's discuss those scenarios which do not require a lot of investment. Let's look at such examples as smart assistants and chatbots. You have heard about them today. Let's speak more exactly about this. These technologies are being spread out quite actively, like transcribing of negotiations and meetings, and then deciphering the meaning of what was discussed already can save up to 30-40 minutes of each single employee. It's about 132 man-hours per year of liberated time. If we take, say, 2,000 rubles per hour as a regular rate, you're already saving 264,000 like that. If you have 1,000 employees, you understand what kind of money you're saving in your organization over this chat assistant. Then if we move towards the development, then there If a developer is using Copilot, they can expedite their development process up to 55%. And if we speak about the level of satisfaction, it's even higher than that. For instance, one Belarusian bank, I'm not going to name it, started to use these technologies to review the codes of their employees, and they cut down up to 2 hours of their time on that. Also, another thing people speak about is the interaction in the call centers, chatbots, robots, a live case of how a person has been replaced specifically by a robot. They sold Ambiton, the conversion has increased by 55%. A person went on to do some other things in that company. Now, most of the new approaches are happening because of the LLM, that large language models, but the chief effect of that is not the generation of new content, but rather systematization and summarization of information that helps us efficiently manage this information, optimize the time of your employees, and redistribute it for other tasks, like with the call center example. The creation of a new operator who, depending on the selected direction of a dialogue, maintain a dialogue and lead to a certain conclusion, but at the same time be both a live individual and try to take in consideration all the moods of a person he's talking to. Such technologies are already successfully applied in major banks of the world, which really confirms their high level of interest in this business. It's important to understand that we cannot be viewed separate from digitization. Large businesses continue to implement digital services. For instance, I have here urbanization, Uber as an example, interaction between the service provider and the client, and the same approach can be used in other sectors, like, for instance, interaction between middle management and employees in a large organization, preparation of minutes of the meetings, for instance, or briefs for marketing companies and creation of objectives for task managers and monitoring their implementation, which can already provide us tangible efficiency. It can help create efficient manager or assistant to maintain all the business processes. Try to imagine when you can have full control over what is happening in your organization with any project in your organization. When you understand its main milestones, with the voice technologies and of large language models and something else, we can already implement these goals, but it all costs money. There is a question how to optimize costs of specialists. The answer is simple: user experience, which is preferably done within a governmental strategy. To get effects from the implementation of AI in long-term future and put them to good use, we need to approach this digitization strategically. We need to standardize systems and processes, as colleagues said. We need to unite our efforts and avoid redundant work. And the approach to machine learning and AI should be more systematic and cover all the levels. Often, high cost of introduction of AI means that we want to save money,
which will lead to an unsatisfactory result. And for the successful optimization long-term, we need to consider solutions for development, the platform it's based on. It is important to create a solid foundation that will increase profits in future. And an important element here that needs to be mentioned is that the people who think of IT effects should also take care of the savings and benefits of the process. And there is a LOPS model or mode. The data scientists and employees, we've been talking a lot, they create something unusual, a black box. It shouldn't be in a black box. each vendor and developer, it should be clear what he's doing, which data he's using, and this way you get your value. But if you get another value based on distributed processes, then the speed will accelerate. Before that, the model development in a large bank took about 3-4 months or 2 to 6 months, whereas now it takes about several weeks because of the data availability and their systematization. And the model is adopted in 1-2 months. But there is some point of pain. While large contractor is doing this in isolation, everyone is creating something domestically. But here we need close cooperation and interaction at different levels, including the state, businesses, and etc. Oh, apologies. What can we see? AI projects generate their effects, and all the experts acknowledge that everyone is getting there. And optimization of the current processes and the systematic approach, these are vital points which are crucial today. And the readiness to adopt those proven solutions on the market. And the role of the state is to unite all this knowledge and to actually provide a possibility in a systematic approach to combine all the solutions. Thank you, dear colleagues. We have 2 speakers left. There are 2 moderators, and at present I'd like to introduce Alexey Sidaryuk, Director for Digital Transformation of Industries at Digital Economy, with his presentation Assessment of Readiness to Artificial Intelligence. And as moderators, I believe we will reduce our speeches so that we don't have less people in the room than on the stage. So I will do my best to fit 4 minutes. So, dear colleagues, show my presentation, please. I believe everyone present in this room and at the stage should be presented with the medal a fan of AI. And a frequent question is how to assess readiness for artificial intelligence in a business. And I will present and introduce ourselves a bit and the methodology. So, digital economy is a platform of interaction of the state and the business. Our founders include 35 lead technology-related companies, including the government of Russia, and we have experience in cooperation with the state in the development and implementation of the national program and roadmaps. And accordingly, there is the Center of Technological Leadership, piloted last year and launched this year. And we collect case studies of AI use in industries. And we've discussed that the deficit of knowledge is an impediment to AI introduction. We have a scenario for AI application and scenarios for key actors and the methodological guidelines for the implementation of AI. For 6 sectors, the studies are ready: industry, agriculture, smart city, transport, logistics. And for another 4 sectors, together with the Ministry of Industry, we are updating the same with the Ministry of Energy, Construction. And here I'd like to suggest to unite our efforts, not for the benefit of Russia, but for all the neighboring countries, including case studies from Belarus, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and others. And there is a standalone methodology proposed. This is our initiative, that is assessment of readiness to implement artificial intelligence. It includes strategic planning, resource availability, process organization and project management, staff, infrastructure and security. I will not detail all of them. I will skip some of my slides, if I may, because I understand that we are all very tired, and the most important thing We have a survey which you may use to diagnose yourself and to assess your readiness to implement AI by 9 parameters with the detailed description of this methodology you may study, and to be able to introduce at the state level as the federal project Smart City together with the Ministry of Construction. It will be presented in the end of this year, and there is the National Center for AI Development of the Russian Federation, but the full-fledged methodology will be ready for municipalities. And briefly, we have the landscape of key actors in AI development in Russia, and we would like to see not only Russia here, but key entities from our union states. Therefore, if you are interested in expanding this map, please contact us. We will add you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, I will be very brief, talking to the point. I need to understand how I can move the slides. Okay. Yes, a survey has been done, and these are the results of this survey conducted in cooperation with the Economic University and other organizations. And what is the idea behind and why we started the AI perspective? There was a question whether it's hype or not. You know, there are conferences, discussions, and we say that quite likely this is hype. But when you have a look at the financial market, there is the award, artificial intelligence. There are companies dealing with AI, and those dealing with AI, their stock, their shares are higher. So then it means it's not hype. And we have a study at the premises of Belarusian organizations. So 530 respondents. We actually believe that there will be 100 of them, but this is the good harvest. This harvest includes CEO and business owners, system managers, and those sectors and industries which introduce AI themselves, including financial sector and IT sector. And what is the crucial benefit mentioned? All the businessmen would like to earn on artificial intelligence, and therefore the majority says that the main benefit is the minimization of our costs. All the rest, machine learning, accounting of maximal data, and these are not the priority. These are good benefits, but not why they do not explain why business needs artificial intelligence. What is the main disadvantage or drawback or pit point? So the main one is that the history echoes but does not repeat, and in non-standard situations one mistake may cost a business and sometimes a life if we rely on artificial intelligence in some key aspects. Therefore, 42 mentions as a drawback unpredictability of its behavior in non-standard situations, and all the other disadvantages may be addressed. Where artificial intelligence is useful, the industries, the areas it is most useful. Here you see that unfortunately business views this as hype, as some entertainment, as recreation, but it is mostly related with service sector, education 59%, business, finance and healthcare next to them. Unfortunately, in industry, Belarusian businesses are not very committed to AI development as something useful. On the other hand, we say whether business is ready to use AI, but whether AI is ready for businesses, and here we ask respondents to use the scale from 1 to 5, and the businesses assess it as 3. 2, 3, that is the level of AI I require in my business to be used there. But when we ask the respondents whether they test it themselves, we see that most of them, 72% of our respondents, say that up to 10% of their processes, this is where they use AI. A similar survey was done in the United States, where they cited from 3 to 4%, and among IT companies about 17%. So actually the findings are quite the same. So therefore now we are more talking about AI rather than implementing it. And the payback period is higher than 3-5 years. Short-term payback period does not exist, and the expectations are like when computers were invented and there were some cumulative benefits accumulated, and businesses started to get some positive expectations. No one actually believes that the benefits will be obvious here and now. And there was a study held, and the payback is more than 2 years. But the Belarusian business assesses 3 years. How to introduce it? So here we see that the Belarusian businesses say that they will implement it themselves. 33% say it will be a joint project, and in-house 31%. So actually the technologies are not very complex that prevents them from doing it on their own. You know, 43% said that this is text processes that is the main area of AI use, and GPT chat. And actually we are talking about the creation not of a steam engine, internet, something revolutionary, but another version of a typewriter. This is solely a new type of typewriter. Yes, it will change something, but not in a revolutionary way as it may be expected. So the obvious defect and risks of AI use. Who will protect us? A paradox. Only 26% rely on state regulation. Most businesses, 53%, believe that they will improve their digital literacy, their digital data protection. We will regulate content use, but not state regulation. But you see, here our conference was mostly half of it devoted to state regulation. But the ministry, which is in the United Arab Emirates, for instance, the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence, 65% Belarusian businesses say no, we don't need such a ministry, such an analog, or we need some other methods to regulate this area. Which methods are they? So 65% say that this is a legal act, a document, a framework that will regulate it, but not the institute. And in the end, in conclusion, how to develop AI? I may conclude here that most businesses believe that in-house capacities are enough, in-house competencies are enough to develop AI. AI is a competitive advantage compared to the companies without it, but as soon as a company gets these competencies, the competitive advantage is lost. It starts competing other companies, applying AI, and then there is no large competitive advantage. And the last question asked in our survey, and it echoes our discussions about the technical sovereignty, technological sovereignty. So 42% of our respondents believe that the technologies should be exchanged internationally, and it's not the sovereign development in-house, one country only. Only 21% of Belarusian business respondents believe this. So this is an intergovernmental solutions that need to be exchanged. Thank you very much for today's conference, for today's event. I believe it was very useful. Thank you, Kirill. Thank you, Alexei, for your moderating of today's panel discussion. To many extent, it was very informative for me, at least for me. Maybe we should continue. Yes, actually, Alexei was right saying that all the speakers deserve, if not orders, but medals, and therefore we actually prepared them, and we would like to present these medals to all of you, these commemorative medals on the 30th anniversary International ICT Forum TIBO 2024. Thank you for your very useful, informative presentations and speeches, and I believe that all the persons concerned may actually continue their work and their participation in our exhibition. Thanks a lot for your attention.